Lacrosse community, my name's Ryan Berns. I'm the founder of the Lacrosse Leadership Institute. It's our mission to empower all those that love lacrosse, to recognize the skills you gain from the sport, to ultimately live your best life possible. Today, we're so fortunate to be joined by Oregon Box Lacrosse founder and creator, Ryan Puntney. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. For those in our community that aren't quite aware of what you're up to in Oregon, can you share a little bit about what you're doing as well as how you got into lacrosse in the first place?
Yeah, certainly. So thank you for having me. We started up Oregon Box Lacrosse about 3.5 years ago. This year, obviously with COVID and everything kind of kicked in, we put some things on pause, but this summer, we fully kicked off our league with 3 teams and across 3 different divisions, hoping, and with the sounds of how we've gone over the summer, it looks like fall that's going to expand into more teams. And we're actually even talking to some college programs as well now to kind of help grow it all the way across the board. And then finally, we're also working on kind of the girls' side and seeing what we can do on that side as well. And so I got involved with my kids getting the lacrosse bug. My son is a 2026. He plays for many programs, but Madlax Oregon, he plays for the Madlax national team as well as West Coast Stars. So he's done quite a few things over the years, and I get to live kind of vicariously through him, but love watching him play and love watching the growth of the sport across the country. And like I said, with Oregon Box Lacrosse, we saw a very good opportunity for more kids to be able to play without having to do the big travel and everything that, like I said, my son does. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Well, Ryan, I think it's amazing that we have so many parents and families that are trying to empower their kids to be successful. And that's why they get involved in lacrosse and create opportunities to play. So big kudos to you and the rest of the team that you have creating this lacrosse environment for everyone there. Do you have a Pinnacle lacrosse moment, or what have been some of the moments that have really stuck out watching your son play lacrosse or that you've been a part of?
Yeah, for me, obviously anytime I get to watch my kids play, that's a great highlight and love to do that. I think right now the Pinnacle is that the fact that we've gotten this box lacrosse program up and running. It's taken a few years, and of course with any new adventure there's always going to be ups and downs, but for us we got some great validation once we got it up and running, and we've had kids that we know haven't been able to play outside of their spring programs, and so they're falling in love, and we've got parents that are saying, oh my gosh, I can see their skill level already going up. And so that to me right now is kind of the pinnacle. Of course, the hope is that I keep reaching more and more pinnacles, and our group reaches more as we keep continuing to grow and build it, to give more kids opportunities.
Well, hopefully you get to keep on raising higher and higher. I think that's what we all strive to do, and that's what lacrosse gives us, that opportunity to learn what others are doing, find those mentors, and then strive for greatness. Can you share a little bit, though, about the struggles that you guys have faced creating this league and how you've been able to battle through the adversity and actually have it come to fruition?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the main kind of big one is just the unknown of box lacrosse compared to field lacrosse. So there's been very little true, as we like to say, true box lacrosse. There's been several programs that have tried to create indoor lacrosse for the kids. Most of those have just turned out to be more or less just practice sessions for the outdoor programs. And it, again, hasn't taken advantage of the fact that there are so many more kids out there beyond just the club players. And so that obviously was a big one, getting that across to the parents and getting them to understand that it is a different sport, but it's also a great sport that helps them accelerate at the outdoor game. And I think the other one that is hard is that if you are a parent and you go to look up box lacrosse online, you see the professionals, you see the adults playing, and it can be a very rough sport. And getting them to understand that that's a level, but that's not what we're about, growing and getting the kids the skills. So while we are box lacrosse, we do tighten up the rules, making sure kids are safe against the boards and that kind of thing. So we had to kind of learn a little bit of that as we went, and know that there are some kids that see that opportunity and really want to go out, and I don't want to say that they want to go and hit kids, because that's not the appropriate thing, but knowing that there are boards and that is part of the box lacrosse game, we just wanted to make sure we had everybody on the same level. So that was a struggle. And then the big one is just obviously a field perspective. So I've been in the team sports world for many, many years. I actually grew up with soccer and hockey. And I saw the opportunity with box lacrosse because of the indoor centers in our area. They rely solely on indoor soccer. And indoor soccer is a sport that's dying because of the sport of futsal. Futsal is the perfect sport for soccer and the growth and the progression. And box lacrosse is right now the perfect opportunity for kids to grow and learn the sport. It keeps the ball in play a lot more. It'll be very interesting to see how the sixes program builds and grows over the years with the Olympics now. And I think there'll be opportunities around that. But I think right now, especially for kids, keeping it indoors and keeping that ball in play just ramps up their touches on the ball. And that's where I really saw the opportunity to get a lot of these kids, especially in these spring programs that are good. But, and again, you take COVID into the fact that, we've got 5th and 6th grade boys that are playing that, if you really look at the math, they maybe have had a year of experience of playing up until this point. And so to expect them to come back after 9 months of not being able to play and be at the level of the kids that are playing at club year round is kind of a tall tale. And I think a lot of kids end up dropping out because of that. So our program is designed specifically for that, to get them, those kids that are just starting out, to build and grow their skills. And of course, I love when we get some of the more experienced kids in there as well, and it helps elevate everybody's game. So it's going well.
Well, Ryan, we're happy to hear it's going well. And I think we always face those challenges as leaders in terms of where's capacity, what's the skill level, what's going on with the group or the organization that we're a part of, as well as making sure that everyone has the right mindset. Like you said, the viciousness of box lacrosse can be daunting for families. So making sure that they understand what the roadmap ultimately looks like to get to that NLL level is appropriate. And that just comes with education. Yeah. How do you define leadership, and how has that impacted this creation of Oregon Box Lacrosse?
So I partnered myself up with a good group of guys, and and naturally, as this grows, we're going to keep looking for more people in that same mindset. Our number one thing from the get-go was that this was about the kids. It really stemmed, and I failed to mention this earlier, but this actually stemmed from a semi-pro box group that was started up in the Portland area. They didn't want to have a youth program. And to me, that just didn't make any sense, because if you don't have a feeder program or the ability to get kids involved in the game, then you're going to die on the vine. And that's exactly what happened, is that the team ended up not making it through not through to the next season. We decided to try to build it ourselves. And again, it took a little extra time to do so. But my counterparts, Richard Rosales and Hayden McClellan, they're the two other gentlemen that work with me. We have a host of other kind of high school, college kids that kind of come in and help when they possibly can. But we also rely a lot on our parents, because we want them to be involved. We want them to, they don't have to. I think that's a big part of lacrosse, is that so many parents look at the game and go, I have no idea other than the ball goes in the goal. And we want them to be able to learn and take what they can out of the sport, but feel like they can be involved. And box lacrosse is great for that, because, if I've got a dad who's opening and closing the door on subs, he feels like he's part of the team and absolutely loves it. And a big part of it is that's what we need. So that works great. And that allows us and allows Coach Richard and Hayden to really get in there and coach and and teach the kids what they need to learn. And it right now it's a winning formula.
Well, it sounds like you're creating community by getting the parents involved, helping them be a part of it, no matter which way, whether it's just opening and closing the sub box. Do you do anything else to provide that community aspect to bring the families closer together?
So we've, obviously the starting out is looking at what the programs themselves are, and then looking at how we can expand from that. I mentioned before, right now we're hoping to get on the girls side. We see an opportunity there. But we also looked at just how can we help and we looked at it from the spring programs and looking at how those programs are struggling to keep kids involved and in the game, and knowing that, like I said, they start up in March, they end in June, and then it's on the parents and the kids to keep their skills up if they go and play in club. And so that's where we first looked at is like, how do we, fill that void, give kids the opportunity to play, stay local, keep it inexpensive. So that was kind of the first step, and getting that going. The other part of it, and as silly as it is, but it's simple, stupid, as I like to call it, is just communication. Constantly communicating with the families and letting them know. We've done we call out a player of the week every week, give them a t-shirt or a hat. We really focus on the young guys because they're the ones that really have to be excited and want to come back and play. And yeah, it's having conversations with a lot of these parents and just letting them know that, hey, it's okay if Billy drops the ball 3 times in practice. You're not going to ever hear anybody yelling at him. They're going to be yelling words of encouragement. And I tell that I want the parents on the sidelines, because it's the other great thing about box lacrosse is they are that much closer to the field, so they can be right there. And I want them cheering and yelling and having a good time with it. So far, it's like I said, it's a winning formula.
Well, it's fantastic that you are really integrating the families, and I can see that as the best sense of how you're going to let this program grow. Well, what's inspiring you to keep moving forward and finding families, finding the high schoolers, the college kids that come back? What's driving your engine right now, Ryan?
Well, honestly, it's the fact that the opportunity that what we've taken has grown and it continues to grow. And we've turned to a sport that has got a long history, but in our area, it's almost non-existent, like I said before. So there's not a lot of people that truly know about the sport of box lacrosse, let alone field lacrosse. Field is growing, but I think we see a lot of people that recognize that there needs to be more for these kids to be able to kind of play and go. And so for me, the constant opportunity and constant looking at how we're growing, looking at, like I said, we've started out small with 3 teams at each age group. We hope by the numbers that we're seeing so far that's going to expand into 1, if not 2 more teams. We're looking to expand up into the high school levels and create a JV varsity level program. And we've just recently been talking to a couple of the local college programs about, hey, let's build a college program that allows you to have players that can stay local, play, get ready for the spring season. And that's the unique thing here in the Pacific Northwest is we don't have the D1 programs. We have a couple of NAIA programs, and most of them are MCLA. So that allows those kids can still go on and play. And, Oregon State both have very good programs. Yet I think a lot of kids end up kind of going to those schools and then not realizing that they could still play lacrosse if they wanted to. So we're kind of hoping that we can build that program up and give that more visibility to the kids out there. And then who knows, many years ago, we had the Portland Lumberjacks, which is the NLL team here. I think they were ahead of their time in all honesty, but hoping that, we can see something, if not back in Portland, something close, and set up, maybe even possibly set up a partnership there in the future. So.
I feel you. Our Arizona Sting may have been a little bit ahead of the time as well, but we're definitely hopeful to continue to see the growth Ryan, we see you as someone who's showing up for your family, empowering your son and the rest of the members of your community to be successful. What do you tell the other parents, or what would you tell the rest of the parents in our community that they can do to make sure their kids can play at the highest level or continue to chase their own dreams?
The one thing I always say, and I love to use I love to use my son as an example, is he's a very good lacrosse player. But that doesn't mean that every 12-year-old is going to be, getting calls from North Carolina and Duke, and nor should they be expecting that. So it's okay if you pick up the stick for the first time at 10 years old, 12 years old, even 14, because you always have the opportunity. And lacrosse is one of those great sports that you can pick it up later in life and still excel at it in some way, shape, or form. And I think we also put too much pressure on having to go to D1 college and play and have the professional dream. I think a lot of that gets kind of muddies the water. But in the end, as long as kids are playing sport, then that to me is the most important thing. So letting these kids and parents know that there is still opportunity. It doesn't have to be at the elite level. But if we can grow this all as a community and have the opportunity for kids to play at some level across their entire career, and whatever that be, if that makes it till they get to high school, or if they want to try and play in college, or if they want to try and play and beyond, there has to be something there for them. And cost has got to be a big part of that. So if you can keep it simple and keep it local, that to me is a win-win combination.
Absolutely. I think keeping the kids playing is the biggest thing. I know you didn't grow up with lacrosse, but you grew up with sports. And those of us that are playing lacrosse right now, it's sports in general that give you a foundational skill set to be successful. You get that accountability, time management, being able to work on a team, being able to be coached. All these things build together to make a successful individual, man or woman. And that's what's amazing about lacrosse. And that's why we started this podcast, to make sure that we're sharing stories of success. I know we're wrapping up on time right here, Ryan, but I'd love to hear a last thought from you about lacrosse or leadership or anything else you'd like to share with our community.
The one that just jumped into my head, and I say this a lot, is that sports love to say that they are all about multi-sport athletes until those other sports conflict with their sport. And so I feel like that's where, again, we look at it and go, I want a kid playing basketball, playing football, playing soccer. And what I tell my coaches and everybody else is like, hey, if a kid misses practice or misses a game, if they miss it because they're doing a sport, another sport, we should be applauding that and not going, oh God, you're going to miss out on this and this and this, when in reality, they're not missing out on anything. They're playing, which should be what we should be celebrating that. So to me, to anybody else out there, that's what I think we need to do more of, is celebrate our athletes and allow them to go and play other sports and still welcome them back to the lacrosse field, stick in hand, ready to go, because they will come back even happier if you're allowing them to do that versus turning it into a grind. So.
And if the kid can play, they're going to play regardless if they're showing up or not.
Exactly.
Well, Ryan,
they'll find a way.
Thank you so much for your time today. And we're really excited to see what you continue to do with Oregon Box Lacrosse. Hopefully we can see you guys out here in Arizona, or maybe we'll have some of our guys come up to you. Really appreciate
love it,
you, man.
Appreciate the opportunity, and we'll keep you posted as we keep going. Thank you again.